Okay, today we would be start with the topic pulse width modulation and pulse position modulation. In the last lecture, we have learned about the sampling theorem, and we have seen that how to perform the sampling and what are the conditions, necessary conditions required for sampling. And we have learned also a Nyquist interval as well as the Nyquist conditions to perform a sampling, where we have found that for a band limited signal, your maximum frequency should be, or sampling frequency should be uh, equal to or greater than the twice of maximum frequency. Okay, Fs should be equal to or greater than twice of W. And we have seen that also how to generate the PWM signal with the help of the mechanical switching technique as well as the time division multiplexing technique in the last lecture. So today we would be start with the point pulse width modulation and pulse position modulation. We have to be see that how can we generate the PWM signal with the help of the comparator, as well as after generating the PWM signal, how can we convert it into the pulse position modulation PPM signal. Okay, so in the pulse width modulation, the message modulates the width of the pulse, and in the other called the pulse position modulation, the position of the arrival of the fixed width pulse in each sample period is modulated by the message signal. So here there is a two diagrams I have shown you. In the figure 4.7a, you have to be see the diagram where I have shown a comparator. In the comparator, there is a two input. One is a positive input, that is original input message signal, and the negative input is given to a sawtooth signal. And comparator would be compare both of the signal, and according to the value of the amplitudes, which is larger or which is smaller, we have to be generate the uh, pulse with modulated signals. Okay, and at the right hand side, you can see the 4.7b. There is a one architecture is mentioned about the. Everyone, please note it down these diagrams. Uh, that is shown as the how to generate the pulse position modulation. And as per the name, it suggests that the position of arrival of fixed width pulse in each sample period, that would be modulated by the message signal. So we have to see that there are the architecture. If you have to see, PWM input is given to the inverter, and after inverter it would be differentiated. The signal is differentiated by the help of differentiator, and then further the differentiated signal is fed to the positive base triggered pulse generator, and finally we have to be obtained pulse position modulated output. Okay, so now we would be see in detail how this process has been be going on. So the first of all, we have to be observe how to generate the pulse with modulated signal with the help of this comparator, and what with the help of the waveforms we will try to understand the concept. Okay, so if you have to be start with the simplest method to generate the pulse width modulation, here we have to use simply one comparator. Okay, and if you have to see, one of the input is fed to the input message signal, that is the input message signal, and there is a sawtooth signal which operates at the carrier frequency. So the maximum value of the input signal, considering both sides, either it is a positive or the negative, it is a time varying signal actually. So maximum of the input signal, that should be less than that of the sawtooth signal. If it is happening, if the maximum value of the input signal is less than the sawtooth signal, and if it is happening, then what we get? We will be get the PWM pulses that occurs at regular interval. So you can see that the its rising edge coinciding with the falling edge of the sawtooth signal, we would be see in the waveform also. And when the sawtooth signal is at its minimum, which is always less than the minimum of the input signal, and at that time positive input of the comparator is higher potential, and hence the comparator output is positive. So here are two levels of the signal has been discussed. In the first case, when the maximum value of input signal, here you can see that the maximum value of input signal always less than the maximum value of the sawtooth signal amplitude, and at that time we would be see that negative terminal, inverting terminal is more uh, in amplitude as compared to the non-inverting terminal. That's why the negative pulses would be generated. But when the we are talking about the minimum values of the signals, the minimum value of input is more. It is always higher than the minimum value of the sawtooth signal. So that's time. As the input signal is applied to the non-inverting terminal, we have to be obtain the positive signal pulses at the output of the comparator. So this could be understood with the help of this waveform. Everyone note down this waveform. This is very important and the simple one to understand how to generate the PWM signal from the comparator. So you can see that in this particular structure, um, sawtooth signal is applied to the negative of the negative terminal of the comparator, and input message signal it is applied to the positive terminal of the comparator. Okay, so you can see here when we start from this is the start point, if suppose. So you can see the sawtooth signal is rising here with the fixed slope, and the maximum value of the sawtooth signal is greater than the maximum value of the input signal at that instant of time. Obviously, so it is larger, sawtooth signal is larger, the output would be depend upon the sawtooth wave signal. And as the sawtooth signal is connected to the negative terminal of the comparator, you would be obtained a negative pulse. Okay. Now, when you have to be come to this point, where the sawtooth signal is there is a falling edge of the sawtooth signal, and you have to be see the minimum value of this sawtooth signal is less than the minimum value of the input signal. So at that moment, your pulses would be change its polarity and would be come from the negative to the positive end, and it would be remains at the positive as well as long as the input signal would be more positive as compared to the sawtooth signal. But once it would be come to this point where the amplitude of the sawtooth signal is again more than maximum value of this input signal, at that moment what happens again, uh, the output would be a negative pulse, but it is for very small duration till this sawtooth signal would be again restarted from the negative end, and the minimum value of the sawtooth signal is again less than the maximum value of this input signal. That's why again the positive pulse is there. In this way, by comparing these two inputs, the comparator would be generated with the positive and negative pulse. Okay, so you can see that when the input signal is at the positive axis uh, or above, it is positive. At that time, negative pulses width are less and positive pulses width are more. And when it would be goes to the cross the time domain reference axis and goes to the negative side, you would be see the positive pulses would be having the small width and negative pulses have the larger width. This is just because of the comparison value, comparative values. Okay. So when the positive terminal is higher in amplitude, so you would be get a positive pulses. When the negative terminal is at higher amplitude, it would be get a negative pulses. Okay. So this is the way that we have to be generate the PWM signal. It is a very most simplest method to generate the PWM signal, pulse width modulated, and the modulation of the width is depending upon the amplitude of the or input of the comparator. Okay. Now we have to see that next when the sawtooth signal rises with the fixed slope, and crosses the input signal value, the negative input of comparator is higher potential, so the comparator output is negative, that I have discussed already. The duration for which the comparator stays at the high is thus dependent upon what? It depends upon the value of the or magnitude of the input signal, and this decides the width of the pulse generated. So the duration for which your comparator would be at high means a positive. You can say depend upon the input signal magnitude. Okay. So the message information get reflected in the time during which comparator output is at high or width of the pulse generated at its output, which is directly proportional to the amplitude of the message signal. So all this generation of the PWM depends upon the amplitude of the input message signal. So you can consider here the sawtooth signal as a carrier that would be modulated according to the amplitude of the input message signal, and finally we would be get a pulse with modulated output. Okay, so this is the basic concept of the modulation. Always the carrier signal will be modified itself according to the incoming message signal or modulating signal. Okay, the same principle are used here. So here the sawtooth signal is acting as a carrier, and message signal would be acting as a modulating signal, and finally the modulated output is a pulse with modulated, and that's amplitude or the width of the pulse. Actually here talking about the duration of the pulse, the width of the pulse, it would be depend upon the amplitude of the input message signal. Okay, now we have to come to the second picture where we have to be convert this PWM signal into the pulse position modulation. So if you have to be refer the 4.7b, so the first step is what? Pulse PWM signal is generated and sent to the inverter input. So which would be reverses the polarity of the pulses. Whatever the pulses we have generated in the past, that would be reverses its polarity when it would be passed through the inverter. This is the main function of inverter, we know that. So if it is followed by after inverter, this signal, inverting signal would be now given to the differentiator. Okay. So when this inverted signal is given to the differentiator, so what happens? Differentiator would be differentiated, and we would be whatever the positive spikes, where in the original PWM signals were going from high to low, and negative spikes where the low to high, it would be differentiated, and we would be observe these spikes are then fed to a positive age triggered fixed with pulse generator. So this spikes means high to low and low to high spikes would be now fed to the positive age trigger fixed with pulse generator, which generates the pulses of fixed width. Okay, now the width would be fixed. In the PWM, width is variable depending upon the amplitude of the input signal. Now it is a width is fixed. Okay, and only the positive pulses would be generated because it is a positive edge trigger pulse generator. Okay, so that you can see here what I have told you. So this PWM signal that we have already generated at the output of the comparator, this is given to the inverter, and then after inverter would be what it would do. Inverter would be just change only the polarity. Okay, so this negative would be become positive, this positive would be become negative at the output of the inverter. Okay, and then this would be differentiated, and after differentiation of these pulses we would be get a spike or like a triangular signals, but it is actually a spike are there. Okay, so you can see in this response to the negative pulses of the PWM, we are getting a positive spike. In response to the positive pulses, we are getting the negative spike. Okay, why it is happening? Because we have already inverted this signal, PWM signal, when it is passed through the inverter. That's why we are getting the for negative pulses positive spikes, and for positive pulses negative spikes are there. Okay, and when this spikes are differentiated, this is the differentiator output is fed to the fixed with positive edge pulse generator, then you would be got a what, a fixed with pulses are there, and only the positive pulses. So those who are joined the late, you can see the hardware structure. Uh, if you have to be see here, the hardware structure, and then you will be more clear the idea. This is the hardware structure actually. So this PWM signal is given to the inverter first. The polarity of the signal would be changed, and this differentiator would be differentiated, and that would be generated spikes, positive and negative spikes corresponding to the pulses polarity, and then it would be passed through a positive edge trigger pulse generator, and only the fixed with positive pulses would be remains as output. That is nothing but a pulse position modulated output. Okay, so you can see here with the help of this particular point. Okay, so if you have to be remember the previous output, this is the PWM. This output is given here as a inverter and then differentiated. That is, it is mentioned here. This is the output of the inverted and differentiated. So at the one waveform, I have just shown the inverted and differentiated output. You can separately shown the inverter output here when the polarity of this PWM would be changed, reverses, and then you can show the differentiated output. It is more explanation is there if you have any confusion. So you can see that at response to the positive spikes, you have a positive fixed with pulses are there, but this position of the pulses would be important. This is a pulse position modulation. Okay, so if you have to be see that the occurrence of this uh, falling edge, where depending upon the on the input message, and hence the delay in the occurrence of these fixed with pulses are proportional to the amplitude of the input message. Okay, so because we know that PWM is depending upon the amplitude of the input message, and PPM is also depending upon the PWM signal. So at last, you can correlate that PPM is also proportional to the amplitude of the message. So this is the PPM outputs where the position of the pulses in a sample period carry the input message information. So in this particular uh, samples, you have the information, whole information of the message signal. Okay, so this is we have to be generated. So in this way, we have learned that how to first convert the analog into the digital one by using the sampling theorem and sample signal we have obtained, and then we have to be adjusted, or we have to be controlling the width of the pulses, digital pulses, that sample signal with the help of the PWM uh, output generation, and then we have to be also adjusting the position of the pulses, where we have to be obtain the positive pulses are this position instant of the time could be also managed with the help of this hardware architecture. So in this way we have learned this three different types of the digital signals that we can generate with the help of the sampling and further processing of this PW and PPM. Okay, so now we have generated digital pulses. That is one of the our target. But now we have to be see that what kind of error could be also there, and in actual how the analog signal would be converted into the digital one. Then what are the uh, steps we have to be followed? That is one of the term is called as a quantization. We have to be required to quantize the message signals. So now we have to be learn about this is the actually we followed in the communication system quantization of the signals before it would be further finally converted into the digital one. So uh, the limitations of the communication system that we have describing is where we have to use the longer channels. Okay, so if that once the noise has been introduced in the longer channels, maybe possibility is there. There is a noise would be introduced at any place along the channel, and once the noise would be introduced, it would be not only it would be hamper the transmitted signal actually, and we would be stuck on that particular noise. Okay, and we have to be the main issue is that how to remove this noise from that particular message signal. So for that purpose we can do the this process also the quantization. Okay, So when quantizing the signal empty, here we are taking the message signal as a empty. This is very important term. This is the mathematical interpretation now. We start. So the quantization of the signal empty, we create a new signal that is called the MQT, which is an approximation of the empty. So in the quantization, we have to be do some approximation. We have to be assume some pattern of the signals. Okay. So here we have to represent the approximate signal as a MQT, and the original signal that we have to require to quantize is the MT. Okay. However, the quantized signal MQ2 has a great merit that it is in large measure separable from the additive noise. So the operation of the quantization is represented here in figure 4.9 that we have to be see further. So here we contemplate a signal MT, those whose excursion is confined to the range from VL to VH. So now we have to be take a sampling arbitrary signal, message signal, that is a time varying analog signal, and we have to be start the quantization of this signal. As for that purpose, we have to be required to fix its minimum and maximum levels. So here it will be considered as a VL to VH. This is the range of this signal MT would be defined, and we define this amplitude of the signal that is ranging from the VL to VH into some steps that we have to be divided into the m equal number of steps are there, and each step having the size is s. Okay, so here s is the step size, that is nothing but the range of the signal divided by the total number of the intervals, that is VH minus VL upon M. So we would be so that a specific example here, you can take the value of M any number, any integers, but here whatever the example we are going to learn, that is M is equal to 8, means we have to be consider only 8 levels. Okay, and in the center of each of these steps we locate the quantization levels, that is from M0 to the M7. So you can see, everyone please note it down this diagram. This is very important to learn this concept of the quantization. If you have to see here, that what I am saying, that this sinusoidal signal, it is nothing but a MT. Okay, it is MT, message signal, actual message signal, original message signal, and on this message signal we have to be convert it into the digital one. But before that we have to be perform a quantization operation here. So for quantization operation, what we have taken, the range of the signal first of all we have defined. So we have to be come from the most negative value, that is taken as a VL, or lowest value of this particular signal, and the highest value of the signal is considered as a VH. Okay, so we have to be defined first of all the range of the signal, and after defining the range of the signal we have to be divide it into some step size. And here for this example we have considered the M is equal to 8. So means we have to be divided into the 8 equal intervals. So for that you can see that we have divided into the deltas naught, delta 1, delta 2, up to this. Each value is having the equal size. Okay, so that is called the step size actually. So the each and every delta having the value of the s, that is mentioned here. Step size is equal, s is here the step size. Okay, and after defining this step size we have to be also define the some transition levels, that is L01, L12, like this. When we have to be transit from the one step to the another step, that is the you have the transition levels are also defined here. Okay, that is shown in this particular waveform diagram. And now we have to start the quantization. So you can see here, as per the movement of the original message signal, we have to be follow the direction for the quantization. So start from this point where the message signal is starting to propagate during the in the time domain. Okay, so this y-axis is representing the message signal as well as the quantized signal, approximate signal, MQT. So now we have to be start to draw the MQT, that is start from this point, and we have to be proceed in such a way that the analog signal is proceeding. So whenever it would be, this analog signal would be transit from one uh, quantization level to the another level. So you can see this is the transition where it would be come from the delta 1 to the delta naught. Okay. So at that moment we have to be bend this signal, digital signal here, quantized signal, and we have to be follow this step size. This step size is also the S. So we have started at the S by 2 here. We have to be see, this is the position of S by 2. So we have to be proceed from S by 2 the S by 2 to the another level. Okay. So we have taken here the size of the steps is fixed. So do not increase the amplitude here. That means you have started from here and go reach to the VL. No, it is not possible. For uniform quantization, we have taken the step size fixed S. So we have started here S by 2. So we have to be end to the S by 2. And then again, it will maintain its amplitude uh, across this message signal. And then again, when it would be near to the transit its label from delta naught to delta 1 again, so again it would be bend here and it would be again rise to up to the step size of S, and again it would be uh, remain on the same label, and then again the next transition is coming from L01 to L12, then again there is a jump, quantum jump, you can say that we are doing the quantization, we have to say it is a quantum jump. The other again the uh, quantization signal or approximate signal will take a jump of the step size f, and like this when the as per the direction of the propagation of the message signal, your approximate signal would be follow it, and it would be always take a jump of the step size s, fixed step size s, whenever the your message signal would be transit its level from one level to the another level. Okay, and in this way we have generated a pattern of quantization signal. So it is your MT and this is your MQT. This is the approximate signal. We are doing just a approximation. Okay, by doing this operation of the quantization here. And so you can also see here each and every, this is quantization label has been defined here. That is start from the M0, M1, M2 up to the M7. Okay, so each and every quantization level is separated from each other by the step size of the S, but only the two extremes you can see here at the maximum value, near to the maximum value, M7 is separated from the VH by the S by 2. Similarly, at the lower extreme, M0 is separated from the VL by the S by 2, and rest of the portion it is separated out from the next level by the S, step size S is. Okay, so I hope till you have uh, draw this diagram. All of you have drawn this diagram or taken the screenshot, whatever feasible for you. Okay, now we have to be I have just given you the explanation how this has been worked. uh, so we would be also see it in some detailed manner. Okay, so that we have discussed here. So the quantized signal MQ2 is generated. We have discussed the way that, again I am repeating here, whenever the MT is in the range of delta naught, that is the lowest level. Okay, so the signal MQT maintains its the constant level M naught, and whenever the MT is in the range of the delta J, J could be any value from 0 to 7. Okay, so MQT would be maintained its constant level Mx. Depending upon the value of the delta, it would be changed its level, and so on. It would be going on the function. So that's the signal QT would be, MQT would be at all times would be found from the one of the level M0 to M7, and that this transition in the MQT from MQT is equal to M0 to the MQT is equal to M1 is made abruptly when the MT passes the transition level L01, which is in between the M0 and M1, and so on. If this is the way, it would be follow the original message signal. Okay. So if you have to be see that the MQT does not change at all the time, or it makes a quantum jumps. It would be only change when the transition level would be crosses by the analog signal. Okay. So the disposition of these quantization levels in the range from VL to the VH, these levels are each separated by the amount of S that we have already discussed. And at every instant of the time, quantization error. What is the quantization error? That the difference between the actual signal MT and approximate signal MQT. MT minus MQT is the quantization error. Okay, because we are just doing the approximation by following the actual analog signal. So maybe that could be the exact approximation. Maybe there is some error. This difference of the signal would be considered as a quantization error, and its amplitude of this quantization error should be either equal to or less than s by 2. Then and then only we could be recovered the actual signal without any uh, error. Okay, if the quantization error is greater than s by 2, okay, this difference would be greater than s by 2, then there is a, a problem to recover this signal. Okay, so whatever the difference of these two signals, you can see here in every any level you can check it out the difference. This is the MT here and this is the M5 here. So what is the difference between this is MT minus MQT is, that is, you can see in all the cases the difference between the MT and MQT is less than this s by 2, okay, or equal to s by 2, not more than this. Okay, in any case you can see here, in every case it is either equal to s by 2 or less than s by 2. Okay, either MQT is larger or MT is larger, it doesn't matter. Okay, because if it is so, then and then only we can recover it. But if it is more than this step size s by 2, this error is, then it is very difficult to recover the signal. So we would also discuss that condition. So uh, we can see that therefore the quantized signal is an approximation of the analog original signal, and the quality of the approximation can be improved by reducing the size. So here uh, we have taken m is equal to 8 only. Okay, but if you would be increase it to the 16, 32 like this, so as well as the number of quantization level would be increased, so the size of the step size would be decreases. And if the size of the step size is decreased, then what happens? More better approximation could be done, and you would be get a more better quantization signal, quantized signal at the output, and it would be near to the exact analog signal. Okay, so how to improve the approximation? When you have to be increase the number of quantization levels or reducing the size of the steps. Okay, so eventually if you have to see the small step size, what happens? Our human ear or human eye would be not able to distinguish between the original and the quantized signal. Now it is very easily to distinguish, but if you have to increase the number of quantization levels or reducing the step size, so at that moment, at certain point you would be reached that when your eyes or ear would be not able to distinguish the quality of difference between these two signal, approximate signal and the original signal. If you are talking about the audio signals, our ear would be not able to distinguish. If you are talking about the video signals, our eyes would be not able to distinguish. That could be understood with the help of the one of the example of the commercial color television, where generally in the older days we have to use the 64 levels for a good, fairly good color televisions, but nowadays it would be increased to the 256 levels. So it would be I am talking about the audio signals. Okay, so what happens, it the quality of the sound would be increased. Okay, and if you have to talking about the video signal, there are now 4K signals are there, 4000 samples, means there is a improve in the quality. So how much the quantization level would be increased, the quality of the signal would be also improved. Okay, approximation would be more better. So that is the main role of the quantization. Okay, that's why we have to be perform the quantization, that how much better we can approximate the original signal. Okay, when it would be converted it from the analog to the digital form. Now let us consider that our quantized signal has arrived at the repeater. This quantized signal is passed through the channel and then reach to the receiver side. So in the channel there is a chances of adding in the noise. So when it would be arrived to the repeater, maybe there is a chances that the signal would be attenuated or maybe corrupted by the noise. This time our repeater would be consist of the quantizer and a amplifier. So we have seen that the noise has been superimposed on the quantization level MQT. Now, what happens? Suppose that we have to place a repeater at a point on the communication channel where the instantaneous noise voltage is almost less than the half the separation between the quantization. The instantaneous value of this noise would be less than or equal to the half of the separation between the quantization level, means step size. Okay. Then output of the quantizer would be consist of the succession of the levels and duplicating the original quantized signal. And we can easily remove the noise also. Okay. Now simultaneously you can put up the attendance on the chat box. So what I am talking about, we are discussing that if the uh, separation between the quantization level is less than or equal to S/2, at that moment at the receiving end we can remove the noise successfully and we can recover the actual signal. But what happens if the size of this noise would be greater than the S/2? So you can see from this example here I have shown you the quantized signal with the additive noise. So noise are added in this level. These are the noises that have been added to each and every level. Okay, but this size of this noise is always less than the S/2. That's why we are correctly approximating or regenerating the signal. You can see the pattern. The signal is similar to the pattern of this received signal, and we can successfully recover the actual signal. But in one cases here, noise is greater in amplitude by the more than S/2. This is the S/2 level is there. Okay, and it is greater than S/2. Then what happens? You can see here when you have to reach to the recovered signal, here the noise error in the level would be generated because here the noise level is more than the S/2. So error in the level would be obtained. So this spike would be create the quality. It would be create a problem with the quality of the received signal. Okay, so there would be some noise we would be also received at the receiving end. The whatever the person who are listening the audio signal, that would be in between, this message could be lost because of this the noise. So this is the main reason why the quantized signal should be confined like that, it should be, the noise would be always less than the S/2. Then only we would be able to recover the signal. Okay, this is the limitation of this particular quantization of the uh, communication system. Okay, so in this way we have to be say that the level of the noise should be either less than or equal to maximum S/2. Then only we would be recovered that. If it would be exceeded S/2, there is an error in the received signal. Okay, so this is all about the, we can say, uh, PWM, PPM, and as well as the quantization of the signals. There are the certain mathematical interpretation that how to evaluate the quantization errors, and this is it. But this is the out of the scope of this particular unit. So next we would be learn about the pulse code modulation. So thank you all of you for attending the lecture today, and so tomorrow we would be learn about the pulse code modulation. Okay.
Jaya.
If anyone has any question, prepare your question. You can ask tomorrow also to me regarding this topic.